Issue 81. Fortunately, Sonic simply shoots a laser at Amy as his first attack, which she can dodge when you think Supersonic would make it move at supersonic speed, and that laser destroys the caravan of the Freedom Fighters. Well, that sucks. I guess it was a good thing Porker wasn't here, because maybe he would have been in that caravan working in a lab. Wait, wouldn't Kintobor have been in there because the lab's in there? I don't know, I always picture their base being underground. So I guess the caravan's like a second base. Anyways, I guess the only reason Sonic used the laser in his super form instead of just lethally ramming into her and grabbing her was because deep down his conscience, his normal self, was restraining him with screw-ups from knowing that he didn't want to get rid of the Team Archer. After Johnny worries about Sonic turning back to normal in the Inferno and dying, which is genre-blind to him since he should know Supersonic's not nearly done yet, the heroes make a run for it and hide, which I guess they can only get away with because Sonic was busy laughing maniacally, and he was aware that he can immediately catch up to them anyways. Sonic shoots eye lasers at them that they barely avoid, while calling them his dear friends sarcastically. This proves that he does remember that they're his friends normally. Makes sense, why would he go after Amy if he doesn't remember her at all? He dives at them, and you'd think that he would hit them immediately from supersonic speed, but instead they dodge just in time, with Sonic calling them worms with a smirk saying they can't dodge him forever. After he crashes into some rubble and emerges from it just fine, Johnny tells Tails to fly and get help from Knuckles in desperation. I guess he's relying on Sonic not going after him. Tails is then stubborn, saying that he won't leave them behind even though he's their only hope. Amy gets an idea from Johnny mentioning flying as I think about how lucky Sonic's friends are that Sonic's politely waiting for them to finish their conversation instead of interrupting them and killing Amy during their plan making. They're lucky this comic has rules against being too dark, because with even the most basic of logic, a supersonic like this would have killed them all a long time ago. Amy runs away, telling her friends to all follow her, and she sees the plane, saying that the plane somehow escapes being damaged and possibly jinxing it. Sonic reminds them that he's their best friend, proving once again that he does remember his friends in his evil super form. The plane starts to fly away, and Sonic wonders if they're running out on him. Since that would be a dumb plan, this made me suspect that the plane was being remote controlled to fly away as a distraction while the heroes all ran away. And they're working under the assumption that he'll assume he killed them and give up. Sonic destroys the tornado with eye lasers, laughs triumphantly, and then snaps out of his super form because he finished what he wanted to do, supposedly. The story ends there for the sake of a money-grubbing cliffhanger, when I'm pretty sure the hero survived, and I'm sure that rather than being a real change to the status quo, the heroes will quickly find replacements for their caravan, the tornado, about as fast as they replace their base. Supersonic can be a great way to change the status quo for the heroes for the worse, but only if the comic has the guts to make it stick for a while. In the next story, we see Gravel has a stupid gimmick where he talks in gibberish, and the water is being genre-savvy by saying that they should just press the button to liquidize the chaotics and leave already. Charming or no charming? Meanwhile, during the villains' boasting, buying Charmy boatloads of unrealistic time, Charmy is leading some bee people behind him, saying that he appreciates the Queen letting him boil them. And one of the workers, who all have construction worker hats, which makes sense, says that Charmy's lucky the Queen did that because it's been months since he visited the hive. The worker bees burst into the Chaotix headquarters, with one of them threatening the water being with scissors because that will disconnect him from the water dome that is his head. The water being leaks onto Gravel, and a worker bee tells his men to mix the Liquid Man into Gravel, and shovel gravel up the Wind Man. One of the worker bees asks why Charmy isn't pitching in. He's probably helping rescue the Chaotix. No, actually he's threatening to hit Flare with high-octane fuel, meaning the worker bee was totally wrong about him not helping. The Chaotix are freaked with the elemental beings having all been morphed together into a pot, with Vector complaining that they can't keep them defeated that way because it's apparently too stupid, rather than creative and brilliant. This isn't going to be the first time where he dismisses a brilliant plan as stupid, by the way. Vector then tells Charmy that one of him is bad enough without a whole army of him, being racist, since obviously the other bees aren't behaving like him at all. And Charmy lampshades the lack of gratitude he got from his quote-unquote friends. The pot reveals that it can still talk, which makes sense as they're magical elemental beings who have souls possessing elements like ghosts, rather than them relying on internal organs. So of course them all being turned into a pot wouldn't kill them. But if they're able to talk without a mouth, you'd think they'd be obnoxious about it and annoy the Chaotix all day. The story ends with Espio being worried and a text blurb saying that next up is a story called Knuckles Returns. I remember hearing about a supposedly bad story called that in Archie, but I recently looked up the names of all of Penders' stories that aren't in the Knuckles comic and I couldn't find a story named that anywhere. I don't remember any story called that. In the next story, Tails destroys some more badniks in Casino Night, getting more praise from the crowd, although one of them says he didn't do good enough, like an ungrateful jerk and possible villain, as Tails is slowing his descent by spinning his tails below him to create a wind tornado. The man complains that because Tails isn't getting rid of the badniks fast enough, his customers are all staying home out of fear. I understand why he's complaining, but Tails is just one person. Mr. Gamble walks away, saying that if he doesn't get it sorted, he'll send his goons to threaten him. And a few of the crowd looks worried, while Tails thinks of him as a big bully with his hands on his hips. Oh, that's sweet. One of them says, "Cheer up, buddy. We think you're the best." Then it's kind of watered down by the other one saying he's second best to Sonic, and Tails sighs, with the word sigh not having a comma after it or being in brackets. The Gorilla Mobians in charge of electrical maintenance want to help Tails defeat the badniks. Now I'm wondering if they'll randomly turn out to be villains just because the Mobians who were given a sort of important role. Tails is put in a bulky badnik suit, as being disguised as a badnik would let him find their secret base. Tails flies over to an abandoned building with steam below him, and oh, the two tails were sticking out of the suit since they couldn't be hidden at all. That immediately gets Tails' badnik suit destroyed and forces them to fly away. One of his gorilla friends tells him to leave the badniks between the two pylons. The next thing Tails knows, the robots are incinerated by fire. What exactly happened again? Tails thanks them for the electrical force field. That's not what force field means. And then Mr. Gamble has another reasonable complaint by saying that they caused a power failure as a consequence to the people around. And because none of the casino machines are working, he's losing money. Surprisingly, people in the crowd are brave enough to call him out on only caring about making money, when I'm sure he has too much of it already. One of them threatens him satisfyingly to leave Tails alone or they'll never play in his casino again. That made me smile, as it works. One of the Gorilla Mobians looks sympathetically nervous while thanking Tails for risking his neck for their plan, and this creates the impression that he feels guilty for endangering the kid. That's sweet. The other one adds to the sweetness by saying that they made a good team. The story ends with Mr. Gamble plotting against Tails. Out of the corner of my eye, I briefly saw Brutus's cape as a giant clown afro. Anyway, Sonic dodges a laser from Johnny the Badnik, and he naively assumes that Amy the Badnik is on his side because she grabs his hand, even though she's clearly in a situation where she shouldn't have any free will. She throws him through a poster, and Sonic briefly angsts about fighting his pals. Shortfuse gets himself knocked away by threatening Brutus, and Sonic snarks as he runs around dodging lasers. "You know, Johnny, your conversation's a bit limited since you became a Badnik." That made me smile. He misses his spin dash because he's fighting his friends, and when Johnny picks the wrong target, Shortfuse blasts him with a laser and frees him from the Badnik, which he remembers being a part of as Sonic catches him, saying, "Glad you've learned some new words, Johnny." The Amy Badnik shoots a whole bunch of arrows. Eggman tries to use an untested war armor against Grimer's advice, and Brutus follows their trail using his infrared vision through the ground. The story ends with him getting punched and threatened by Eggman in the battlesuit, letting them have a fair fight for a change. Eggman also had a battlesuit in Sonic's Quest in Archie, by the way. The first story was by Nigel Kitching, and was about Sonic in his super form, failing to kill his friends multiple times through unexplained contrivances, destroying the caravan and tornado that he thought his friends were in. I'm sure they weren't really in the plane. I just hope this causes the heroes a major setback that'll last for more than just one story. The next story was by them and Nigel Dobbing, two Nigels working together, and it involves Charmy leading some worker bee-mobians to cleverly defeat the elemental beings by spilling the water guy into gravel and making them all into a pot. Sadly, Charmy doesn't get any thank you for saving the Chaotix' lives. That at least keeps this plot from being too cheesy and sappy, since by having Charmy have to save them right after he was kicked out, it seems too on the nose about the message that they need him around. So it's logical that they still remember they hate him. It's more realistic that way. The last two stories are by Lou Stringer, and the first one has Tails defeat the last of the murderous badniks in Casino Night by luring them into a place where some electricians get them all destroyed. And even though this causes a power outage, the casino owner that only cares about money is called out on by the crowd and told to leave Tails alone. It's good that Tails is earning respect in this place. And the fourth story has Johnny get rescued from the badnik by Short Fuse, and Eggman get into a battle suit to threaten Brutus.